Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the cosmos, the universe, the galaxy, planet Earth, Mars, wherever it is. I'm Rocken Larry Locken with Pleiadian Express Productions. Today we're doing sort of a follow-up show with Vrill contactee Ray. As everybody knows out there who's listening to this show, the other day we did a show talking about his experience. I had the great Michelle Walling of N5D Cosmic Awakening show with me, and we discussed some of the issues that he's experienced and went through. And so we're just going to kind of do a follow-up on that today, as well as we're going to also talk about the Billie Meyer case. And so, Ray, I'd like to welcome you in. And well, I first wanted to mention that we may be joined by Jane Hermstad here in a little bit. But Ray, I wanted you to kind of go into the aftermath of our last show and what it is that what's happened to you in the last days. You mentioned a phone call and just some kind of weird idiosyncrasies that happened. So I'd like to welcome you back to the show, first of all. And why don't you go ahead and tell us what's been going on, man, since the really big shoe, as Ed Sullivan would say.
All right, thanks. Yeah, there's this weird electronic phone calls, and they like call 3 o'clock in the morning, and I found out some information. I mean, even a couple of people that I met on Facebook, and I mean, it sounds really bizarre, but I mean, I know we believe in reincarnation, that we've had past lives, but I ran into a few people that I'm pretty certain that I knew before, and an entire revelation kind of opened up to me just within 24 hours within our last video that we did. And it's really extensive, and it knocked me in the head. It's like a knock in the head. And some of the things that we've learned or heard, even about the Billie Meyer case, and there's so much fabrication and disinformation that I think it's really important that we talk about it, because we have all these people and they're believing in these magical fairy light being good alien Pleiadians, and I'm just saying it's not all dancing in a flower garden. There's stuff people don't know, and from the research I've done, it's just, yeah, I'm blown away by what I've learned, even about the Vrill. So,
do you find that, and I found this when I started dealing with some of the people on Facebook, do you find that some of the people that think that they're really extremely enlightened, right, and it's like they've had their head on the clouds. It's like they've lost sight of the 3D issues that we still need to take care of here on Earth, and they're just caught up in these realms, the so-called fairy realms or whatever. They're just like, oh, well, it's all going to be great, and they're all here to save us and things like that. But it's so much more intricate than that. There's so many different things that are going on disinformation-wise. You have opposition control, counter-opposition control, disinformation. They'll put some things right out there in the forefront just to put out disinformation. It's just crazy. Everything you see, from the GMO issue to the extraterrestrial issue, they're not afraid to put a little bit of the truth out there in plain sight, and either get you to think, oh, okay, well, that's nothing big deal, or they'll get you scared about it, and then they won't pursue the issue anymore. It's like, it always killed me about the dollar bill, the Illuminati. The people will show you a bill, and I'll look at the Illuminati sign and look at the Illuminati eye, and people are either, oh, bullshit, or people are so, oh, God, the Illuminati, but they don't even know just how fucked up it really is, and they don't know the extremes of this. You know what I mean? Everything is so intricate that it's not just black or white. It's somewhere in those other 62 colors of the 64 Crayola color set. You know what I mean? The truth is just, we really don't know the true agenda, and you find people are just one way or the other, or they're hung up on a name like the Ashtar Command or Cobra, or whatever, and they don't realize, the intricacies of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think it's a lot of it's gotten out of control. And I was even mentioning to Michelle, I think it was yesterday, my time is all whacked. And the Christian theology, see, I was raised Christian as well, but we had Christianity, which was one box. Then we had New Age, which was another box. And I don't want us to get locked into another box, the alien box or the abduction box, because like you said, it's so much more complex, and there's so many different things going on that we can't say it's almost purposely done, so we cannot pinpoint exactly what things are. And from our last talk, there were people coming out of the woodwork messaging me, and oh, that was really great, wow, awesome, and but then I'm laying here trying to sleep, and I'm getting downloaded like with information that really, it's almost like it readjusted the wheels in my head, that some of this is not what I thought it was. And then, we have messengers who kind of help us along in our life and guides. And it seems as soon as we get a revelation, somebody or something comes in and knocks it out. They just take it away from you. So
Yeah, they really do, and I want to chime in real quick because that's why really discernment is really the key here, is to always go within but have your bullshit detector on high, because you must use discernment, and the Pleiadians talk about that. You must use discernment in every moment that you're in, and you just got to think things through, because you never know what's going to hit you. And like you said, I like your comment about the minute you get a download revelation, right? It's, then something comes along and tries to knock it out, but you need to listen to your body and how it feels. Thank you, Michelle Walling, by the way. You just really need to go within your body, because and in every situation you're in, you're going to there's going to be manipulators and things of that nature, and whether this is all a big game or a test, or it's really truly, like I think, somewhat entities trying to come in and dissuade us. So, it's just really important to use discernment and go within and use your body.
I agree. Yeah, and I'm listening to my body right now, and my body says you're anxious as hell, bro, because I am. The opposition, I could use some of that. You know what I mean? But the opposition comes in as soon as you get a revelation of a little nugget of truth for yourself, something that could lead you into a new path. There's this opposition that comes in the form of light, and it snatches it out of your hand. Now, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying there's a pattern that I've noticed over the last 10 years, especially, that's what happens. Like, I had a blueprint I designed when I was engineering. Had that. Ex-wife took it. She's got a bunch of drawings I had. Then, I write a new song, and my sound system shuts down. It's like, it is Murphy's Law, but I don't know what it is lately. It's been really happening a lot. And
yeah, and synchronicity's been happening a lot, and it's like the only thing you can do is stay within yourself. The only thing organic outside us is love, and between us all. And the thing about it is, everything outside of your heart is really a lie, because everything that's been portrayed in this matrix that we live in is a lie upon a lie upon a lie. Black is white, up is down, everything you've ever been told is a lie. And it's not that those people were purposely lying to you, whether it was in the church or the school, but they're caught up in a system too, a system that has fed them and taught them and brainwashed them, and of course brainwashed and taught them to pass that on to the next generation, and so on and so on, and it just flows on. And You know, and as far as like extraterrestrials come from space, we have been quarantined from them, and of course they have to abide by the free will law. You know, the good extraterrestrials that are here to help us, and all they can do is send us love and energy and be here to help guide us, but they can't break the free will, you know, in most cases. So it's like we're caught in this. You know, if you stepped left, you should have stepped right. But if you stepped right, you should have stepped left. You know what I mean? It's just really wild how we get caught up in this, and and we get hung up on the messenger and not the message when we're dealing with situations, whether it's whoever talking, and it's just really crazy, and it's just you can't go into anything with a I'm going to step left or I'm going to step right mentality. You have to see it all, and you have to understand that you need to be able to adjust in any situation and not have any judgment, but at the same time understand that everything's a possibility. Whether you could be dealing with Joseph Stalin or Mother Teresa, and all points in between, and we've been all points in between, and it's one of them crazy wild things where you can't just, oh, this or that, or this motherfucker said this, or that motherfucker said this, or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter if Andrew Bartz has said this, or if Drunvalo Melchizedek said this, which are both great guys, but you get people that get hung up on a message, right? And it's like, okay, go within. Use what resonates with you, and don't use the rest of it, whatever. It's like that, though. You can't get hung up on anything for too long of a period of time, and then it's time to move on,
Right. Yeah, that is true. It's like I don't know how to put it in words. Imagine like a hot iron with like an engravement on it, and it's being seared into your mind. So you're going throughout the day and you're doing what you got to do, but there's this imprint that's the only way I can describe it. It's like a branding, and it's seared in there. And for some reason, somebody put that there, and there's nothing you can do about it. Not that that's a bad or a good thing, but that's kind of how I feel. There's this little irritation, and it's like this morning I did one song, sounded great. The three after that sounded like shit, and I had not adjusted anything on my console, and my power shut off on my power bar, and I'm like, what the, everything just I'm just
Yeah, man.
energy
Just when you
interferences really bad.
Exactly, really bad, and it's like just when you think you know the answer, they change the question.
Yeah, so I'm I have had anxiety issues since my contacts on and off, and usually deal with it pretty well, but there the stuff that's going on around here, and my niece missing for a week, and people come over and they're checking out the house and they're seeing what's going on, and I can't even mention the word aliens, or they'll take me away, so it's like I'm kind of feeling that stress from that. And I'm watching my step parents. I'm just like seeing all this stuff going on. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I know things that I can't really say anything about uh, without being ostracized. Especially in this town, really small town.
Yeah.
So coming on,
No, yeah.
it's like therapy coming on here.
Well, and I appreciate that, and all the management staff at Pleiadian Express Productions appreciates that. But one thing that you could do, and this is something that Michelle Walling has keyed me into too. You can sage. I have had to sage my house before. I've had people come over that had negative vibrations, and I've saged my house 2 or 3 times over the years. And if it doesn't work, it might be time. If that doesn't work and it gets that extreme, it might be time to like get out of there and just try to get back into nature. You know, I know that's not always the most easiest thing to do, but you know, it's really what you need to do, and then it helps you. You know, it helps you merge with the tree realms and helps you merge back with you know other collectives of the Pleiadians that are in nature. And so you know that may be a situation that comes up for you. And I understand what you mean about the family ostracizing. I know they'd rather believe that really talking about. It's just you know it just you know, but what it'll do is it'll take your mind off things to get into nature and raise your vibration. I had to do that a little bit for a while, and you know, I was so stuck on the computer that I didn't realize that I've got a 1 minute walk and I'm right into nature, and it really is invigorating. And I know that sounds kind of whatever, kind of wacky to some people. Oh, you're a tree hugger or whatever, but really, it's the truth. And just grounding and getting back in there. And you know, and I really empathize with your situation. I think that we've all went through that with family and friends chastising us for what we believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, with my immediate family here, since I got divorced, um, they are pretty supportive as far as when I tell them what happened to me in Honolulu. They're pretty understanding. Yeah, yeah, we know. But then there's this other side that I'm trying to avoid, and it goes into some really it spirals into this whole mess of I don't even want to say conspiracy, but there are people I honestly think that are paid shills, and when you do a video like this or something, there's these people, they come out of the woodwork and they say this is not what you thought it was. You did not have an alien contact. Now I had to go down and apply for disability because I was going out and doing my construction job, and I only lasted like 2 or 3 hours, and I was exhausted, and that's never happened. So I had to come back home, with the disability. I'm really sharing personal stuff here, but psychiatrist, uh, he's like, well, I can't find anything wrong with you, and I was getting part of my royalty checks and retirement money and stuff, and they were threatening to take that away. And then I had somebody message me and say, do not say anything more about aliens. They're not aliens. They're this. If you say one more word, we're going to take this away from you. You think you've lost everything? Wait until you say one more word. I'm going to keep talking, and nothing is going to stop me because this whole situation has completely turned my life upside down. It started out what I thought was good, but I'm almost I sympathize with Billy Meyer a lot, and you get to a point where you just want out. You don't want anything to do with it, whether it's Pleiadians or the Vrill or it takes over your whole life, bro. It like
It takes over your whole life, and hence the question. You know, I know that the Greys can pose as Pleiadians, and you know, and also, you know, you got to think about this. Could the Vril be malevolent and not, you know, benevolent like maybe you might have thought? And what if they're really not aliens? What if they're really, because of the line of work that you were in, what if they're really some government deep secret manufactured entity that's here to kind of mess with you and throw you off of your path? And that kind of thing can happen. And you know, the Pleiadians really believe in free will, and it's just a great feeling when you're dealing with them. But the confusion comes in when you're dealing with this stuff, man.
yeah, it does. And some revelations I got, and I think I mentioned before, is a couple of the women from the Vril, the history that we have on that, were the same women that Billy Meyer describes, and uh, I like
I
started.
think they left. I think they left his ass.
Yeah, there's, I mean, it gets creepy. There's either clones made of these women, or they are somehow uh they're staying young. And I know that sounds weird, but they're staying young.
Yeah. I think a lot of us incarnees are we feel this body pain of ascension and stuff, but we look good. We're looking younger than we always have. But hence the question. What is the government trying to hide? Are they trying to keep your vibration low? Because if you keep your vibration high and do the things that you need to do, like grounding, right, it makes it more and more, especially for a star seed, it makes it harder and harder for them to try to break you down. But they will take every opportunity that they can. And it's like, what exactly are they trying to hide? And I think it's something bigger. People get into talking about, oh, the secret society controlled matrix over this planet, that I think it basically comes down to a war over this planet. When dark side won and took over and manipulated this earth, whether you want to call it the Anunnaki or whatever, and the genetic manipulation came in to take over our light bodies, giving women all the problems they had, probably installed that prostate tissue into men to mess with them, the way they install teeth into our mouth. Basically, if you want to really break it down, it seems to me like that they just genetically manipulated a light human body and mixed it with a lizard, and it just, and what is it that they're trying to hide after all these years? And then again, who's manipulating them? Who's controlling them and pulling their strings? And, there was a post one time in the Pleiadians, and some guy out of nowhere just chimed in, and he's like, hey, it's not about any of this political stuff. Aliens control this planet, period. Whether it's completely the malevolent side that's got us controlled, or whether it's the Arcturian and Pleiadian forces that have helped seed Earth, it's not anything that's at the ultimate level in control. No human on Earth. There's no entity on Earth or political party that's really in control of this planet right now. And I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'd have to say I agree. If people only did some research, and to the extent of the private corporations that are really, it's really a conglomeration of private banks and corporations that make up our government. And you could say that our government is really non-existent. There's no government except for the military government in America. And the amount of control and authority that has been given to them is unjustified, because it has wrecked families. It has made people lose their jobs and lose their mind. And to have that much control over a human being, or even a reincarnated starseed, it behooves me, because I'm just like, unless someone has been abducted, or things I'm talking about, or had contact, it and I know there's other people listening right now that can probably relate, but there's there's no feeling like that. There's no empty, hollow, void feeling like that I can describe, because everything is stripped. I mean, your life is stripped, and you hold on to any positive ounce of hope that you can hold on to,
Yeah.
just to get by, man. Like, it has taken all the energy I have just to get through each day.
Exactly, and hence I got a couple of points here. Hence, we talk about them not wanting to announce disclosure because they're afraid that they're going to have to complain about what they know. But maybe it's that they're afraid that maybe this planet really has been controlled by Archon beings, and from that fourth dimensional etheric that are manipulating us. And and there's a question that I wanted to ask you. Coming from the chat we've got on here, over here on the side, Do you think that the Vrill bad? You said that they were good on the last show. Has that, have you reflected on that at all, and maybe thought that it maybe wasn't what you thought it was? I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I saw Michelle point that out. I'll tell you what I really think happened. Same as the Pleiadians, same people that flew into Switzerland and talked to Billy. Things start out good. They start out with good intentions. When something picks up momentum, it was like the first thing I said, it gets corrupted. Corruption comes in. It's like, if you leave an apple sitting out on your counter for a week, you're gonna see the corrosive effects of decay if that thing is not consumed. So that analogy, as far as the Vrill in this group, I've researched and even went back really far. Their intentions were good. I will go even as far to say Hitler's original intention was good.
Yeah, and I agree on that. That's another story, but I totally agree on that about him being manipulated. But that's for another show. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, as far as the Vrill, this whole concept we're having of good aliens, bad aliens, good government, it needs to be thrown out, because, like when I mentioned on Facebook, the silencers, these are people that come in. They'll interject their thoughts here and there. They'll tell you what to think. They'll tell you what to do. They'll tell you that the aliens you saw weren't aliens. They'll tell you that the people that you've come in contact with are spies. It gets messed up. And so I think the goal should be, especially for myself, keep a level head, stay positive, and stop listening to every single person that talks to me, because I know what happened to me, I don't need somebody telling me this is fault light workers, or this is, the Vrill were evil, they were Nazis, or the Pleiadians are, all of the Pleiadians are Nazis and they came to deceive Billy. We don't know any of that shit for sure.
Yeah, we have no fucking idea what's really out there or what the agenda is. And then I think sometimes, the positive ETs that come here, they get caught up in the head game that goes on here. And yeah, quit listening to, listen to people, but take it in and just take it for what it's worth. You get people that they get hung up on what one person may say. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. And it's all about distraction. It's completely about distracting on every level, and people are manipulating you. And it just goes on like that. It's about distraction, and that's just the way I feel. I'll give you an example. I was doing a show one time with Michelle Walling, and this guy in the chat room, he called in and he had said, well, he was talking about a point, and I forget what it was, but he was like, well, Andrew Bartzis said this, so it must be true. And I really love Andrew Bartzis, don't get me wrong, but it was just his mentality. It wouldn't have mattered if he was talking about Andrew Bartzis, Mother Teresa, Joseph Stalin. Who cares? The thing is he said it, so it must be true. And I thought to you know what I mean? And it was just, people do that, and some of these people are the most 3D brilliant people that you could ever meet, but at the same time they have tunnel vision. And I think with us, it's just that our consciousness knows all this already, and we just must stay within and not be sensitive, because we have sensitive souls as starseeds, and we tend to get hung up on what somebody might say or somebody might do, and then we're like, oh, well, David Icke said this, or whatever, or George Cavallo said that, and or whatever, you know what I mean? Or I heard George Norrie on Coast to Coast say this or that. And it's just, we just need to focus on love and the vibration. You know what? It's so funny, because it's not only, It's the simplest possible thing in the universe. Love, love, love. But yet here on a 3D level, we make it so complicated, and humans are so funny. We go out of our way just to make this thing crazy. And hence that's probably what happened to Billy Meyer. And we can tie these two things together because I was born in 1975, and that was supposedly when Meyer's first contacts were from Electra. And this is just my thought, and I'm going to throw it out there about Billy Meyer. And I swore to God, to Prime Creator, I would never talk about Billy Meyer because it's such a complex issue, full of truths, lies, real ETs, fake ETs, government cover-ups. I really think that he really had some legit contacts maybe at first, right? But then I think that once that he got really big, his farm, people overran his farm and were taking advantage of him and turned the whole thing into a cult. And the Pleiadians don't like cult or earth religions at all. And so basically they left, because they have to observe free will. And you got the whole thing with some Yossi falling in love with him and, and all that. But I think that the original crew that was with him in the beginning, with Britt and Lee Elders and Colonel Wendell Stevens, they were reporting it legitly. But then what happened was they left, and then you got that other contingency that came in, like Randolph Winters, and and the guy that I had a big run-in with, Michael Horn, who I've listened to for years, and I was really polite with him in that discussion I had. And then he got really shitty about it, that Billy was the only one that possibly could have ever had contact. And it's like, we had to tell him that no, there's a lot of people in the synchronicities there that have contact with the Pleiadians. And so I think Billy basically since the mid to late 80s has been full of shit. And I think he might be a good guy. His story, even before he had his contact, is amazing. A one-armed man. He was a bounty hunter. I mean, it might be the greatest story that's ever happened on Earth. But it's so hard. I hate talking about it because people will get hung up on one aspect. And discernment and staying grounded, and it's one of the things where you really have to focus and use your discernment and go from there. And I know we were talking in the pre-show and about a little bit about Billy Meyer, and I'd be curious what your take on it is. It sounds like the same thing, like you're getting all this disinfo and having these people mess with you, and the same thing kind of happened to Meyer on a grander scale, I think. I mean, that's my kind of food for thought on Billy Meyer, and people can take it for what it's worth. People have argued against me and said, well, no, he's the prophet, knows all and all that. But I like Michelle, I love Michelle Walling. She's the best, and I'll follow her advice on this. And you got to go within. You got to go within and stay grounded and stay in your zone and clear your auras, and you've got to really feel what you feel about it. And then again, in a multiverse parallel reality, all these things could be true. So it's just a truth upon a lie upon a truth upon a lie. And I mean, really, that's the only thing I can really think about to mention about the Meyer case. I mean, I don't think we need to rehash it on the timeline, but after that big Rocken Larry Locken rant, I'd be curious to hear what you have to say on that, man.
Yeah, I love Billy Meyer. I think he's a good guy, and that's why in my heart I know that in the beginning it was legit and he was telling the truth. And that's how you know when something's real, is opposition comes. It comes out of the walls and the ceilings. And that's how I know what happened to me and what I remember was real. And I got nothing to lose. I mean, I'm not getting paid. Nobody's making me say what I say. But there's been something going on for like I said in the last talk, it's been going on for a long time. And when it's directly affecting your life, you start to question everything. I mean, I've questioned everything. And I don't normally complain. I don't normally get really negative, but when the disinformation agents, and especially people who have famous websites, or they're involved in music, or they have some kind of substantial presence online, when they come and tell me that I'm wrong, and they've been listening to me this whole time, and finally I realized that they disagreed with me, or maybe they see something a different way, I say, okay, that's great. I had my run-in with Michael Horn as well. He didn't live far from me. And uh, it's like I said, to pinpoint something down and say that it's this, I think that's an error, because there's so much we don't know. There's just a lot we don't know. And
Yeah, and I'm not trying to put him to the ring or anything, but I was really surprised when dealing with him, right? And I'm the guy that took the flack. I'm the guy that actually admitted him to the group. I'd seen him post something in the comment section on N5D, which alerted Greg Prescott about, but I invited him to join the Pleiadians, and what I was shocked at was how 3D he really was in his thinking. Um, it just was amazing how, you deal with some people that are stuck in that 3D mind, and this guy was and I have heard this guy on Coast to Coast over the years. I've heard him on other shows, right? And I was so amazed at how 3D his mindset was, and it's just amazing. And the same guy, he's tried to trash guys that I really look up to, like Drunvalo and James Gilland, and it's like, man, dude, you have no clue. You came into a situation on being Meyer's American press agent. You came into a situation where you just don't know anything really about it. You read a book that you got at a metaphysical store from 1979, the original Meyer's original book, I think, that when Colonel Wendell Stevens wrote, Contact with the Pleiades, the one with the big shiny discs on it, and he read that, and then he got interested in Meyer, and he got hung up on. I think honestly, at the heart of it, Billy's a good guy too, and I don't know whether he's been brainwashed at this point or has been for years, whether whether they got him hopped up on drugs, could be too, and he's just believing all this stuff from false entities that are coming into him and trying to give him false light. I just don't know, and yet it all could be true. So that's why, again, it's important to stay grounded in your root chakra, and just go within every time, because, well, this guy said this guy said that. Well, it doesn't really matter what anybody said. Go within and listen to them. Some of it's going to resonate with you, some of it's not. But I get a kick out of people that well, this person said this or this person said that, unless they're using it as a reference, right? Because I do that a lot. And yeah, and well, one thing I wanted to ask you too, Ray, is can you talk a little bit more, not to get off the Meyer case, because we're just kind of going, that's how we do it in the PEP, no time, we just go back and forth, but can you talk a little bit about how you woke up out of your slumber, maybe?
yeah, I'm actually still waking up from the slumber gradually. Yeah, the I think being raised Christian, and a lot of people still, even a lot of my friends on Facebook are Christian, and I respect that. I honor that, because I have to, not because I want to. And so we have this mentality of black, white, good, bad, up, down, left, right, and like I said before, there's this gray area, gray area that needs
Yeah,
to be.
50 shades of 50 trillion shades of gray.
Yeah, and I think that's where maybe some of us who have been taken or had contacts and nobody believes us, we kind of live in this gray area, and it doesn't matter what anybody from the outside says. Does not matter how many phone calls I get in the middle of the night, or people coming to my door telling me to shut up and that something's wrong with me. I'm not going to back down. I I've dedicated the past 2 years of my life to understanding this, and whether I have to put music aside or whatever. And New Age people say focus on the light, and that's great and all, but it's hard to focus on the light when you have darkness surrounding you, telling you to be quiet and not express yourself. So I think that's what I struggle with the most is silencers. I call them silencers.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? That just keyed me. Actually, one of the members of the management staff here and N5D host, the great producer, writer, host Michelle Walling, keyed me into something that maybe do you think it's possible, Ray, that they implanted you? These chips, they can be activated by the government, and I don't know if Roger Lear, when he was taking these out, really knew what he was doing. But of course, that's another story. But is it possible in the line of work that you were in? Do you think that you could have been implanted and chipped, and that's maybe how they're doing these little idiosyncrasies to you, like the phone calls in the middle of the night and things like that? I mean, is that possible?
Okay, yeah, I thought about that too. At the time, my wife was, she was, and then I think they got to my youngest daughter, and I mean I've been X-rayed, I've been looked up and down, in and out, in every way. I have no chip in me. No, he said my neurological functioning is perfect. In fact, it's above normal, and my cognitive my speech is horrible, but my cognitive skills are really high, and he hadn't seen that in anybody who came into his office in a couple of months. And so he was like, well, I don't know what happened to you, but something definitely happened, and you're not lying to me. So I
So,
don't
so,
have it.
so,
If anybody wants to know, I'm not chipped. No, I'm not.
Okay, okay. So hence the next step. Then it must be kind of like an archonic control then from the etheric plane, or what I was thinking when you were going through that. What you were just talking about is, do you think it's possible that maybe your wife or daughter were chipped at all? Because that could be too. But the thing is maybe it could just be a complete control from the etheric plane that they're doing, the last of the archons that are clearing out of here, that hopefully they're gonna we'll get rid of them. I remember listening to one time John B. Wells had asked Rob Potter, uh, what is an archon and when the hell are they gonna go home? And it's
Hilarious.
like, yeah, so it must be that you're being, it's some kind of a manipulation that they're trying from an etheric plane. And and I'll say this on record, that's how those fucking cowards work. And Michelle Wallen had pointed out too that's how Nikola Tesla tried to, he tried to tell us about vibration, because it's key. It can be used for good things, and it can be used to manipulate as well. It's all about our frequencies and tuning into each other, right? It's about tuning into each other, and at the same time keeping those vibrations and those frequencies high, I think.
I do agree. I agree. And I think what's happened. I mean, I'm just pointing this out. We have been taught in this society that if we feel bad, don't share. We've been taught that if we have a negative emotion, or we're having a bad day, don't post it on Facebook. Nobody wants to see that shit. I'm one of the few people that I will say if I'm having a good or bad day, and I'm saying, yeah, keep your vibration high. Michelle has said it. We hear it all. Keep your vibration high. Be positive. Meditate. Listen to good music. Um, I don't think anyone can really understand what an abductee goes through unless they are one. Um, just to make that a point, it's really easy to say live in love and light, and follow your heart and your vibration. And when you feel like shit, it's hard. It's really hard.
It really is hard because people can't understand, and then nobody wants to believe you. It's like the Betty and Barney Hill case of the early '60s. Something happened to them, and it was through regression that years later it was figured out that these beings that had abducted her were, him and her were from Zeta Reticuli, which is where the Greys come from, and who knows what their agenda is. And we all have to go through this and go through hell and back, to emerge. It's a lesson here, and we've blown this once before in Atlantis, Lemuria, and God knows how many other creations here. And it's about staying grounded. And we all agreed to come here for this mission. We didn't realize how hard it was going to be, but we agreed to come back and do this one more time. Do kind of the to make it work this time. And I think that, these forums like this, and I really appreciate talking to you, of course, and it's a pleasure to do a show with you. And I just think that we need to stay grounded and stay focused and remain in our zone. And there, I had to turn my phone off. My phone is ringing. There's some 3D stuff. Yeah, I'd like to get your thoughts on that and go ahead and share that with us.
Right, yeah, grounding is important. I have had issues staying grounded since these experiences. Oh, and by the way, the chat's messing up my laptop. Sorry. It's the interjections are messing up my connection. So yeah, staying grounded, very, very important. Getting enough rest, eating right. I know we have all struggled with that. I'm not the best, uh, dietitian or new age vegan. So, uh, I think what irks me the most is the new age love and light, everything is flowery and shiny. That drives me nuts. I can't stand it. you know, I, we need to be real. Come out and be authentic and be real, like I'm doing. Uh, it's time we just face the truth and we're all real with each other. There's no this, there's no good, bad, there's no, you know, things aren't so, they can't be so compartmentalized anymore, like the New Age uh, theology has done. There's a whole nother level of reality and consciousness that I think we need to go into. Michelle's talked about it. Um, it's I think I'm just kind of irked with being opposed. I mean, that's hard. It's hard for my ego as a man, first of all, and then being told by a woman that I'm wrong, and then finding out that the head leader of the Vrill group is still living somewhere. That uh, that has knocked me out, just off my rocker. I don't know. Like
Yeah, you
I'm
don't know
so
the agenda.
yeah. So I think I need to back away from it, live my life as normally as I can because it's driving me crazy, Larry.
Well, it is, and and Michelle was just touching on something that we literally are in hell. You've got the upper third dimension mixed with the lower astral realm, with the head trips coming in from lower 4D and the etheric plane, and it's just we literally when they talk about hell, maybe they mean here. I mean, it's okay. What could be worse? Okay, being burned at the stake. Okay, the stake real quick and done. It's a mental trip upon a mental trip upon a mental trip to wear you down. You know what I mean? To try to break you down. And here we've got so much confusion. And I think, like what Michelle was saying, when you mix those realms, you're adding all that perception, deception to this mix.
Yeah, I agree. Um, like for me to stay focused, and Michelle she's helped me. I mean, just to stay focused a little and focus on more positive things, because something like this, when it actually happens to you, it can really overtake your life. I mean, it turns everything upside down. So whatever I can do to keep myself balanced and rooted, I have to start doing that because I'm really bad at that. So whatever if you have anything to add or interject, or I just wanted to point out, don't knock somebody's experience. Don't come and tell somebody that they have not had an experience. You know?
Yeah, I know, and it's really it's really easy to go off the deep end and relapse, you know. And I think as starseeds, we look for things for comfort, whether it's a sexual addiction, whether it's a food addiction, whether it's a drug addiction, alcohol, just anything that can take our mind and numb us, make us feel or not feel. Basically, the two reasons that we would do any of that, and it just makes us want to relapse sometimes into that mode and get out of our grounding situation, get out of nature, stay secluded. You know, and so you know. And again, you know, like Michelle was pointing out, it's no wonder these people want to believe in the New Age movement. You know, you get people like from the past, like if you ever read the Seth material, then you get this, you know, that woman, Jane Roberts, totally, you know, flipped out and just got into it so deeply that they use that too as a drug, like they would use religion. Oh, I'm a born again Christian. And they get, and good for them that they're off the substances, whatever, but they get into that head trip and they get caught up in that. And it's just a matter of staying grounded and staying in every, you know, every moment. And some people are addicted to the New Age movement. I'll tell you, you know, the New Age movement, so-called, it gives what we do a bad name at times because people get stuck in it, and they get, you know, once again, they get hung up on a person, the messenger, and not the message. So, you know, yeah, I think that I think you're right, and I know that I've really appreciated having you on the show, and you know, and I really appreciated you talking with Mashai the other day, and it's just been wonderful. I know that you're trying to remain semi-anonymous, but yes, yeah, I wanted to also point on air that Michelle is dealing with an issue perpetually. She's got a plumber at her house, apparently. Hopefully that situation gets taken care of and she can get back to doing her thing and not having to be distracted by the plumber, a little liquid plumber maybe. So, do you have any last parting things that you want to say to the audience, or that you would like to share with us today, Mr. Ray?
Yeah, I do. To finish up, I do want to point out, I do know Travis Walton. His case is legitimate. The Betty and Barney Hill case is legitimate. Billy Myers started out legitimate. And anybody who has had an experience that they don't quite understand, they don't know who it was, their memory was blocked. I mean, if I can say, you know, and welcome them to come on your show, because I'm telling you, there's people out there who are hurting, Larry, and they need to talk. They need to talk to somebody, and not a
They do.
So, yeah, those three cases, from what I've researched, are legit, and you know, not to discredit any other one, but anybody who tells you that your experience is not real, walk away and know what you feel in your heart. And I'm feeling that that's what I have to do, and move on with my life.
Amen to that, and I would agree. You know, Jason Wilson and Jane Hermstead, two other members of the PEP, we did a show on Travis Walton and the Whitley Strieber case, and I totally agree that Travis Walton's was legit. It just, there's too many variables for it not to be. You know, he hadn't had any food or water in 10 days. I mean, come on, it's legit. And also, I heard Travis not too long ago on Coast to Coast. I don't really listen to Coast to Coast much, but I caught an episode. It's like consciousness will lead me to it on the radio sometimes. And Betty and Barney Hills is legit, and Billy started off legit. Whitley Strevers is legit. And, people that don't know, either they don't know, they don't show, or they don't care what's going on in the cosmic hood, because this stuff is real, and nobody should discredit anybody. And I always encourage people in the groups to come on and share their stories, talk about their experience, or just talk about their feelings. This is a kind of medium that we need for people to sound off. We've heard over the years from those people you mentioned. We've heard from David Icke. We've heard from the great God rest her soul, Dolores Cannon. We've heard from these people. I'd like to hear from Barbara Marciniak, but that's another story. But we've heard from everybody, and it's time for the people to have their voice. I mean, it's time for everybody to be, we're all on that stage now, and it's time for everybody, to have that voice. And I just want to thank you for coming on, and thank you to the great Michelle Walling for pseudo-producing this show, and I appreciate that. And I want to just give a shout-out to a few people. Of course, Michelle and Greg Prescott of N5D.com, BodyMindSoulSpirit.com, the Pleiadians group, Fringe Thinkers, all the Pleiadian regional groups, too many to name and too many to count. So I just wanted to send lots of loving energy out to everybody, and wish everybody a great rest of the week and a great weekend. And I'd like to close the show with, well, Ray, do you have another follow-up point, or can I close this out?
Yeah, go ahead. I totally agree, and just thank you for letting me come on and vent a little bit. This was my therapy session today. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And really, it was mine too. The way I feel about it, it was mine too. And I'm just glad. I love how we do things at the PEP. We don't do anything in time. We just wing it. We just wing it, brother. We just wing it. And I heard Greg Prescott. Somebody had asked him in the chat room the other day, his last show. They asked him if he prepared diligently, for his show, and I was expecting him to say yes, but he's like, I prepare a little, but I just wing it. And it was like, man, that was so cool. It was like the fawn saying, yeah, I just wing it. So we just wing it here, and that's it. And I'd like to wish everybody much love and a big cosmic dating game kiss to everybody. Mwah. And namaste. And that's a wrap. And of course, I am, of course, your delicious host, Rocken Larry Locken, saying goodbye, farewell, and if we don't see in the future, we'll see in the pasture, but all in the same never beginning nor ending now moment. Peace out.